Hi, my name is Liliana Cavaliere Hintz. I'm a consultant and facilitator for the Thinking Through Result program taught by the Proctor Gallagher Institute. This program has been personally designed by Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher to improve all areas of our life. Today I'll be presenting a lesson on how our mind works. There's a lot of misconception into that, and a lot of people don't even bother thinking about it. But it's actually a science, and it works by design. Now, I like to start with the quote of Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he said, "We become what we think about all day long." So stop and think. Have you ever tried to understand how the mind works? Why we do what we do? Repeat the same mistake, and we know they're mistakes, and we go on and do it again? Well, if you're like me, if you've been intrigued by it, you will want to know. Well, at least I did want to know. So let's start by understanding how the mind works and at least become aware of why we do what we do and why most of the time, not every time, but a lot of times we repeat the same mistakes over and over. So think of your automobile. What color is that? Where is parked? A picture came to your mind. Now think of your front door. And a picture of it came to your mind. Now think of a neighbor, your daughter, your son, your mom. A picture came to your mind. Now think of the mind. Most people will have a picture of the brain pop in their mind. Why? Because nobody's ever seen the mind. So how can we associate the mind with something? We don't know. It's an abstract thing. The mind is not the brain, just like a fingernail is not the body. The fingernail is a part of the body, just like the mind is a part of the body. Now, the mind cannot be seen because the mind is movement. It has its own vibration, its own energy. And no one has ever seen it because it's not a thing. The mind is not a thing. It's a multitude of things. It's activity. And it can be all orderly activity, or it can be disorganized activity. And in that case, we get uncomfortable and we give up. We stop thinking. We don't want to think. Because when our mind goes from left to right and so on, we don't want to think. So whenever we think of the mind, we don't have a clearly defined picture of it, and that creates confusion. And we're not familiar with confusion, so we shun it. Now, Dr. Thurman Fleet was a chiropractor from Texas, and he was really ahead of his time. Well, he died in 1983. He was almost 90 years old, and he was a chiropractor healer and teacher. And his theory was that in order to be healthy, you had to cure the person holistically, mind, body, and spirit. He said you cannot cure a disease by curing a symptom or taking care of a symptom, but you have to treat the whole person if you want to eradicate that disease. Now, that is ahead of its time, because even today, doctors don't do that. They prescribe medicine to take care of symptoms. They're not looking for the cause of disease. So he was so busy. He was such a busy doctor, teacher, healer that some days he would have up to 500 patients going to his office. So the city had to reroute traffic in town to avoid that area where his office was, because it was creating a lot of traffic. So after realizing that we think in pictures, and because he wanted to help his clients, his patients, he came up with the drawing of the mind. And this is the drawing that we're using today. He called it the stick person. We also call it the secret genie, because that's where all the magic happens. So this is the picture that Thurman Fleet drew of the mind. The large circle represents the body. It represents the mind. The small circle represents the body. The mind controls the body, and the body is an instrument of the mind. The body is what gets sick because of what's going on in this part. Now, some people are really shy, and some people are really outgoing, and people's behavior varies. We're not all the same. Thank God, we're not all the same. But the nature of people is exactly the same. It's just that some people have been exposed to different environment, DNA, friends, and so on. So their mind has been programmed differently by genetic and environment. But the nature is the same. It's what's going on caused by the outside that creates our behavior. So going back to the picture, the conscious mind receives information by our five senses. We see, we hear, we smell, we taste, we touch. That goes into the emotional mind, which is the subconscious. The subconscious cannot analyze what's going on, just reflects and reacts, and it's emotional and reflects into the body. So it's either creating euphoria in the body or it's creating disease. Now, the conscious mind thinks, and the subconscious executes what's impressed upon and expresses it through the body. Now, you don't have to go by the five senses. There's a way where you can train this other stuff that we forgot how to use, which is the perception, the will, the imagination, the memory, the intuition, and the reason. These are muscles that we can go to a different kind of gym and develop again, so we can overcome these five sensory factors that always get us in trouble emotionally and physically. So you can look at a person behavior and you know what's going on in their life. If you find yourself not feeling well, you know they're emotionally involved with the wrong idea. No, it's something you saw, something you heard, something you taste, something you smell, or something you touch. That's the process of what's going on in your life. And once you become aware of it, you can start seeing what's going on the inside that causes you and causes things to be as they are. So whatever's going on in the outside world, it's a reflection on what's going on our inside world. You control the inside with the emotional mind, the subconscious. We're controlling this. So if we learn to live from the inside out, we have it all under control. But if we let the outside in control our life, that's when we get in trouble or we get sick. Now, this has been such a phenomenal lesson for me, and it has shaped my life so tremendously that I've decided to make people aware of the suspect life. And I want to teach how to create a new model of you. Now, why do I say a new model? Well, you can't change people's behavior. It's too ingrained. It's too much trouble. You can't change this computer programming going on. It's been given to us by the environment. It's been given to us by our DNA, the neighbors, the friends. So we can temporarily vary it, but we cannot change it. Think how many people want to go on a diet or they start exercising, and by the end of January they're already back to the way they were. They quit smoking in maybe even a year, and then they start again. It's hard. It's hard to change behavior. The easier way to do that, and that's what my training has been, and this is what it's fascinating, is that we can learn to create a new model of us, new behavior. We create a new behavior and put aside the one that doesn't fit our needs anymore. Create a new you. Create one that doesn't smoke, one that's not overweight, underweight. Create one that doesn't get easily upset, one that doesn't get in trouble. Create the new you that you always wanted to be. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. One of my next ones, I'll be talking about the undeveloped qualities of the mind, and start making light in some of the things that we always give for granted, not realizing that our DNA, our spiritual DNA, is perfect. God wouldn't give us anything less than that. It's just that we need to learn to use it the proper way. Well, thank you for listening. Bye. If you're interested, get a hold of me. Bye.